The show's about the Constitution as it was ratified in 1789, and it's about how the people have the power to return the Union of States back to the original design, and we're going to try to teach people on how and when the U.S. Constitution as established in 1789 was reconstructed under military rule in 1868, and that's what we suffer today, is the tyrannical government which came out of there. The call-in number is 516-595-8117. Well, for the benefit of those that might be listening to the recording at a later date, I'll just kind of ramble through some thoughts, things that a lot of people don't know. We were taught in school that Lincoln was a hero. Lincoln and the Radical Republicans took the United States, the entity created under the Articles of Confederation, and given a little more decisive powers over the states of the Union with the new Constitution in 1789 was when it was ratified. And the 39th Congress, 40th Congress, both Radical Republicans and Lincoln waged war against the southern states when they decided they were getting out of the Union. Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution says waging war against the states is treason. So that Congress and Lincoln basically committed treason against the states. After they implemented the 14th Amendment, it was not ratified. That placed the people of the states the jurisdiction of Washington, D.C. Article 4, Section 4 says Republican form of government is guaranteed throughout the states. In Republican form of government, the people are not under the jurisdiction of a central government. The government is under the jurisdiction of the people. So we are no longer a union of nations as set up by our founders, our framers. That's the most condensed version I can give of it, and those are the things we want to discuss on the show. I see someone's calling in. Are my moderators talking to them for a second? Well, let's see what we got coming up. Well, Mike from Singapore, I clicked the mic button. There we go. Mike from Singapore,
okay.
You're on there.
Yes, how you doing, my friend? You said that MAGA Constitution, statehood law, and a lot of 14th Amendment. And so since Democrats now they have the House in control, and still some seats in the Senate is not, it still is empty. So maybe 49 Democrats to 51, but to the House of Senate. But the question is, how can you make America great? Can you give me some clue, please?
Well, you covered a lot of space there. I'm not out here to try to make America great. So we'll make that clear right off the bat. I'm not out to make America great. I'm out for us to reclaim the greatness that our economies would be, our freedoms would be, our liberty would be if we reclaimed our statehoods. We lost our statehoods. The founders and the framers created a document which was a contract between the entity named the United States. The states were not the United States. The United States was not the states. The United States was the Congress assembled, and that's all it was. And they were given tasks to perform for the states, and they had the power to bill the states, not the people. If you want to make American states great again, we need to reestablish the citizenship of the states and take back the power and put the government back under the jurisdiction which was promised to us by Republican form of government. We are under their jurisdiction as of the 14th Amendment. And that's what we need to. And the 14th Amendment was not ratified. It was 10 states were annulled by Congress. They didn't have the power to do that. The military went in and removed the legislation of those 10 states. They didn't have the lawful power to do that. And then they implemented the 14th Amendment, which says all persons born and naturalized in the United States and under the jurisdiction thereof. There was no mention of jurisdiction in the Constitution before those words. Does that help you?
Okay. So, I mean, what is your status on the Trump? Do you think Trump is doing a great job for the United States?
Trump is part of the de facto government. De facto means the fact. They're in as the matter of fact because people are consenting to it. They're not the de jure government, which is the lawful government. The lawful government is not in place. Whether or not he's doing good for the United States, I mean, I don't pay that much attention to it. I want to see the Constitution restored as it was originally created. Here's the thing. I either want to see the Constitution restored as it was originally created, or I want people to stop singing about the land of the free and pledging to liberty for all. You can't have liberty and freedom when you're under the jurisdiction. It just doesn't work that way. So as far as what the Congress is doing now, who was voted in yesterday, what Trump is doing, I don't even pay attention to it because I really don't care. I really don't care. They're the unlawful government. They are not the lawful government of the states.
Absolutely, I agree with you, my friend. Because anyway, Trump is just not. He's a fascist.
Well, he's not. He's not my president. In fact, the president
that's right.
isn't even. The president isn't supposed to be the president of the people. The president is supposed to be the president of the entity, which is the United States, and that is purely the Congress. The president was the executive wing of the Congress. The only time that the president would really have effect on the people is if the people, through their representation, say, we want to go to war with that country, and then the Congress declares war. Then the president has some power. The rest of the time, he is supposed to have very little power.
Absolutely, and so he sent almost 10,000 military with tanks and artillery and many militarized the borderline. Do you think he is right? But since you said no, your answer to this also should be no.
There's not an army with military weapons amassing at our border ready to cross it and attack us. He's unconstitutional doing anything. Now, constitutionally, the Congress only has the power to create a uniform rule of naturalization. That is only for people to become citizens of states. And that's the same whether you're coming from Uruguay to be a citizen of Kentucky, or if you're going from Wisconsin and want to be a citizen of Ohio. That's the only power the federal government had in our borders. If Texas does not want those people to come into their state, that's up to Texas, and that's up to Texas to stop them from coming in. And if Arizona next door says we want them, they let them in. It's not, constitutionally, it's not up to the, and I don't want to call it a federal government anymore. It's now a national government. It used to be a federal government. It's now a national.
Exactly. I understand your point of view, Craig. You are very, very clear and loud and precise, my friend.
Yep. I really appreciate the call.
This is, I'm very, very impressed with what you're saying. Therefore, he should be the president of the not all the states president of for
Just the Congress.
just Washington. Yeah, Congress, right?
Yeah.
And everything he's doing, he is separating refugees. He just have a fist fight almost with CNN today. He says CNN is a fake news, and that somebody else were trying to get his microphone, and also he won what is the new elected the head of the House, Nancy Pelosi, that if you want to impeach me, I will be not working with you guys. But if you do not impeach me, I will do anything you say.
Yep.
It's just,
let's hear it. I got another caller that
sense.
wants. No, it doesn't. I got another caller that wants to get on. Are you listening to your phone? Do you want me to disconnect you or just put you on mute?
No. I put you myself in mute.
What's that? Oh,
I mute myself. That's why.
Okay. And thanks for calling. And hey, if you got another question, hang up and call back in. Get back into the queue. Well, I see Juan from
me?
I can hear you. Now I am. You're now on the air. What's up, Juan?
Well, I'd like to start off by saying roll tide.
Okay, so you called in last night, didn't you?
That's right. But hey,
Okay.
I was listening to y'all say, that Donald Trump's not your president.
He's not lawfully.
Well, he's not. Okay, well, see that's one thing I don't get, right? Like I told you yesterday, I fly that Confederate flag in my house, and I fly the American flag in my house. And if I liked or disliked whether it was Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, or Trump, to me, you know what? I ain't gonna go to another country. You know what the Dixie Chicks did? Went over to France.
We're not. Okay, I gotta keep this stuff brief because we are getting other callers. We're not pushing going to another country. We're trying to get people to understand the true construction of the Union of States as it was set up by our founders and our framers. The President of the United States until Amendment 14 was the President of the United States. The United States was just the Congress when they assembled. The states were individual nations. The Constitution was between that entity, the Congress assembled, and the legislatures of the states. They were not the Congress of the state. The states had their own Congress. The president wasn't president of the states. They each had their own governor. That was the true construct. Under the 14th Amendment, that's completely changed. And all we're trying to do out here is get people to understand totally and learn the real history. And from that point, the people of the states must determine their future direction of what they need to do. Do they like it the way it is? Fine. But I don't. I claim citizenship of my state, which makes the president not my president. He's the president of my state's legislature.
So you're from Texas, right?
Nope. I'm a Yankee. The guy you talked to last night, Paul's from Texas. Paul is from Texas.
Where are you at?
I'm in Michigan.
Okay. Well, so is that governor your president, man?
Well, he's operating under a 14th Amendment government. So, I mean, yeah, he is. Do I want him to be? No, because they're not practicing Republican form of government with our state neither. Republican form of government under the jurisdiction of the people. And generally, you would have each state would form their own type of Republican form of government, but Republican form of government is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. When you have a government like that, it's easily altered by the people. The people can't alter their state government because they're operating under the 14th Amendment.
See, here's what I don't get, all right? Here's what I don't get. Because, look, all right, I'm a Southern boy, right? I'm proud of the Confederate statues, the Confederate Army, the Confederate forces, right? You know what I mean? I'm proud of that. That's my history right there, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you know, and I got my, you won't call it my ancestors or whatever. Heck, my ancestors, George Washington and Pancho Villa and Zapata. You know who they are? They're Mexican revolutions, all right? That's my history. I'm proud of all that, okay? But that being said, I'm in America. I live in America. I'm an American, all right? So I stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Donald Trump is my president. I could be the most democratic, liberal person there is, far left, but he's still my president. It don't matter. You understand that? And you or anyone kind of separate and say, hey, that's not my president. Well, hell, how y'all want to unite and be bipartisan for the same cause and for the good of the country when y'all want to separate?
Let's go to that. Okay, slow down. Let's go to that. What cause? Making laws?
What cause? Well, think about it, all right?
Wait a second. When you go to the polls and you vote, what are you voting for? Are you voting for legislation? Who's going to make the legislation upon your neighbor? Is that what you're voting for? What are you voting for?
I'm voting for laws and rules that will govern my society and the people and economy around me. That's what I'm voting for. I'm voting for the good of my city, town, state, country. I'm voting for all that good stuff.
You feel the right way to be is you go and vote Congress in a place that's 3,000 miles, 2,000 miles away from you to create one size fits all. And that's your recipe for freedom and liberty?
Well, if it's
don't you think the neighborhoods should just? Don't you think that cities should decide what takes place inside their cities? And if you don't like the rules of your city, you can move to one that you'd like. And if you can't find one, you can start your own. Or do you prefer one size fit all laws from the center that tell everybody they're going to live the way that they're told? Which one do you consider liberty and freedom?
Well, that's why you have local governments, man.
Local government's not in control. They're answering to the bigger government.
Hell the hell not. You got people smoking marijuana in California, right? It's legal in California, Colorado, and lots of other states.
It's not legal. It's not legal.
It's not federally legal, but it's legal in them states. You don't see.
Can they grow as much in their backyard, smoke as much in their house, and sell the rest on the front porch without being harassed?
Well, no, but minors can't drink beer either, right?
Well, now you're talking about setting. Now you're talking about society has decided that 18-year-old is when you can start drinking. That's a different thing. From that point, you can make your own. You can buy your own.
Regulations, man. There's rules and regulations we all got to follow, right? That's the way it is. I mean, the way you're talking about it is kind of like, okay, well, California, or Arizona or Texas, y'all want to open your borders. Your Mexican border, well, you know what? Let them people in, and the federal government ain't got no say about that. Hell, they should got some say in it. You got to think about it this way, man. Colonies, you got people all from Europe, Canada, and the indigents trying to invade and take over. And now, strength in numbers, man. You got union, all right? You got the 50 states. Ain't nobody gonna mess with America. You know what I mean? Okay. Because we're big, we bad, we strong, and we united we stand, divided we fall. Can I get an amen?
Well, listen. Can
I get an amen?
Did within each state, did the supermajority of communities go to their state government and say, we don't want those people in? Did the supermajority of the states go to the United States and say, we want you to have the power to keep the people out? Did that take place? That's the Constitution. That's the Constitution. You either have to stand up for the Constitution or you stand up for the United States. There's no third choice. You're either a constitutionalist or you're a United Statist. Which one do you prefer?
Okay,
Which one do you call freedom and liberty?
Well, I call freedom and liberty paying for America, because for your logic, okay, the Constitution was written for the 13 colonies. So your logic says everyone that wants to pay the Constitution, go back to original 13 colonies and live there and leave everything else the way it was, because the Constitution was only for the 13 colonies. You got to adapt, man. You got to adapt, and you got to, hey, man, survive.
I want a government. I want a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. We don't have that.
So, see, are you saying that the Louisiana Purchase was a bad thing?
Was it a bad thing? No, heck no. Did Jefferson have the constitutional power to release France of their debt, which they owed the people of the states? The power to release that debt, to take that property? No. That wasn't a treaty where we defeated them and then, okay, we defeated you, you get out, we're taking it. He gave away a lot of money for that. He didn't have that power. Now, I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, but did he go to the people of the states and say, this is what I propose? And then did Congress get together with the representatives from their districts and the Senate, which used to be appointed by the states before the Amendment 17?
Saying, to your logic, Louisiana Purchase, no good, don't exist, manifest destiny, give the Southwest Territories back to Mexico, give the Louisiana Purchase back to the French, give Florida back to the Spanish, give
I would have
the
hoped that if the
Go ahead.
I would have hoped that if
I was making a point, but go ahead.
I know exactly what you're trying to say, and I'm trying to tell you that I would have preferred that the constitutional procedure was followed. It wasn't followed from the beginning. What do you know about the Whiskey Rebellion? I talked to you about the Whiskey Rebellion last night. That's right. The Constitution wasn't adhered to from the beginning, and that's why we're in the trouble we are now, because incrementally we've allowed a superpower to take over our freely individual states. And that's why we're in the trouble we are. That's why we're robbed of all of our potential. I mean, look where they're at. They got 130 countries occupied by American troops right now. Is that the America that you want? Great. Let's go. Let's make it 150. Let's make it 200. Good.
Every state has its National Guard, right? And I'm not going to bash Mississippi, but if y'all want to run the country y'all way you run Mississippi, they's poor, and the education system there is not very good, and the economy's bad. Okay? Bad. So imagine if everyone said, I'm going to run this, I'm going to run that way, and you're on your own, and federal government, I don't need your help. I don't need your aid. Hurricane Katrina, oh, well, you're on your own, Mississippi, because Katrina done hit you hard, but you ain't going to get help from the federal government. Is that what you want to do, individualize yourself? I don't want to do that. I want to know that here in Alabama, I camp with the people in New York, and Indianapolis, and Maryland, and California, and Texas, my brothers all over the world, and the United States, I mean all over the nation, I'm sorry, and even, that we're a nation, okay? We're a nation of laws, and like I said, we're not a nation of laws. Donald Trump, but he's still the president, man. I'm sorry. You live in America. He's the president, all right?
John Adams did not say we were a nation of laws. He said we were a government of laws. So let's get that straight right now. John Adams did not say that we were a nation of laws. That was a lie they were told us in school. See, I don't have a problem.
John Adams also owned slaves. Are you for slavery?
Oh, come on. Let's not go there. The Constitution had nothing to do with slavery. Well, that's what I'm saying. We got to adapt.
We got to adapt, right? We all got to adapt.
Okay. John Adams did not say we were a nation of laws. He said we were a government of laws. If the laws were followed, we would be wherever we are today, but we should have followed procedure from number one and followed the laws that were there. That was what freedom and liberty was. What we're living under now is not freedom and liberty.
You know what? Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but the fact of the matter is, by popular vote, by popular opinion, we're doing the right thing. Because if everyone thought like you, we'd all be separated, right? We'd all be rebellion. Montana would be their own country. Texas was individualized already because, Sam Houston, and they was already their own country. But it's not. People like being part of America. Yeah, I was going to complain.
And you're making it sound like we want to take over the country. We don't. We want people to know the truth. We're not taught the truth. We want people to know the truth and know what their power actually is in the government, so they stop sitting back and say, why aren't they following the Constitution? Because the people aren't enforcing it. If the people know the truth and didn't change a thing, but they knew the truth, I'd be all done. I'd be like, okay, cool. They know the truth. That's all that matters. But they don't know the truth.
Let's go back to the Constitution. And again, I'll go back with you with the Constitution. I mean, women shouldn't vote. Minorities shouldn't own land. Blacks definitely not own land. Only white
Where do you
men
get that from the Constitution? Where do you get that from the Constitution? Where? What clause?
Have you read the Bill of Rights, sir?
What clause are you talking about?
Well, I'm driving. I don't got it in front of me. I don't got it memorized, but I've read it, and I know what it says. I know what it means, and I've interpreted the way I've interpreted it. Now, you got to adapt to it. Now, it was in the Constitution. How was slavery abolished? Can you tell me that?
By a presidential decree, which he had no power to do. The 13th Amendment was ratified.
Okay, so slavery should be legal, right? Let's quote the Constitution. Slavery should be legal, right?
The 13th Amendment was ratified, but it was ratified by duressed states. There's nobody out here saying that slavery should still be there. What should have been done is when the southern states said, we're getting out of the Union, we don't want any part of it anymore, the northern states should have let them left and then stopped doing any trade with them. If there was shipping lanes that the South had to take their cotton to, I don't know where shipping lanes are and what states they belong to and what's the limits. If there were shipping lanes they needed to use, you blockade them. So no, you're not using these shipping lanes anymore. You made life terrible for them as best they could. And you know what? If they still had slavery today, slavery has not been eliminated in the world. Slavery is just as bad, if not worse, than it ever has been. That 13th Amendment and that Emancipation Proclamation did not end slavery. But the Constitution had nothing to do with slavery.
In America, or what are you talking about?
What's that? I didn't catch your question.
Slavery where's slavery at?
Saudi Arabia, to my knowledge, but don't ask me for details. I'm not versed on that. I just know slavery's not done. People are pulled out of.
I thought we were talking about U.S. law and Constitution, not about political views and laws. But I don't see how the U.S. Constitution affects.
Lincoln's proclamation was a military edict. It didn't go through Congress. And I'm not saying that I didn't want slavery ended. Slavery was actually on its way out, had ended in many countries. I think France ended their slavery about 20 years before we did. The thing was, the Union, the Congress assembled, which was the United States, they weren't given that power by the states. My show is not about discussing slavery, yes or no, this or that. My show is about people understanding what the real Constitution actually said. And like I said earlier, let the people decide the path of their life after, but they need to know the truth. Whether or not slavery would have ended had we followed the Constitution by the letter, who knows? But that's my point. People are not taught the real Constitution.
Your view, for your belief, for your logic, your reasoning, slavery's still legal. because it was ended illegally. Am I right?
No, that's not what I said at all.
I'm just saying for your logic, man. If you go to the Constitution,
I'm saying the U.S. Congress was never offered lawfully through Article 5 the power to say yes or no to slavery. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they couldn't have been given the power through an Article 5. It wasn't done. That's all I'm saying.
So slavery's still legal, right? But can y'all? I mean, I don't want to get in a back and forth with you. You know what I mean? But
wait a minute.
Y'all want to take
the 13th Amendment. Wait a minute. The 13th Amendment was ratified. Okay, the 13th Amendment was ratified, and since then, the states have not got together in an Article 5 convention and repealed it. So no, slavery is not legal.
They didn't do that legally, from what you're saying, from your point of view, right?
Do you think that if people learned that now, that they would repeal the 13th Amendment? And actually, I would. I'd repeal the 13th Amendment tomorrow. Or at least I would amend it. Let me read it exact, because I usually can quote this stuff right off.
Okay, well let me read it exact.
Let me read it exact. Let me read it exact.
Let me read it exact. Being part of the United States of America.
Let me read it exact. Okay? Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have duly convicted. The jails are now, because of that part of Amendment 13, the prisons are now owned by the corporations. The corporations are feeding politicians money to create law. The politicians are giving the Justice Department the power to put more people into those prisons. Those prisons are profit-making. They're being paid for with our taxes, and the corporations are making profit off of those prisons. I don't remember it was Missouri. I think it was Missouri a year or two ago. Actually came to the state and said, if you don't get us more prisoners, we're shutting down the prison. Is that what you want out of that 13th Amendment? There's your slavery that still exists right there. McDonald's.
Well,
I shouldn't just say McDonald's. There's so many. I shouldn't single out McDonald's. There's so many corporations out there. I wrote an article on that about 3 years ago, and I started going into that article. I shouldn't be sitting out here picking on McDonald's. There's a ton of corporations.
I can answer your question if you let me about Missouri.
Go ahead.
I can answer your question about Missouri. Okay. The reason Missouri said give us more prisoners or we're shutting it down is because they were told by the federal government to build facilities to hold 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 prisoners that were going to be held federal levels. Now, when the government don't give them these prisoners and they say, well, you're supposed to be housing 2,000 prisoners, but you're only housing 200, so we're going to give you 200. Well, you can't operate a facility and man it and operate it with the income you get from only 200 prisoners.
What income?
That's why they say.
What income? Profit from the products they produce or from our tax dollars?
From the tax dollars. I mean, heck, you commit the crime, you know that them facilities ran with tax dollars, but if you commit the crime, you got to do the time. I'm sorry, we're a nation of laws.
Again, you're quoting Nation of Laws. Again, you're quoting Nation of Laws. That phrase was never in our history. Government of laws.
Well, no, I like that. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. We're a nation of laws.
So you support the United States, not the Constitution.
That's not in the Constitution either. It doesn't say we're a great nation. But hey, I think we're a great nation. I think we're the best country in the world. That's not in the Constitution. That's my opinion. What do you think of that?
I think that
I
think that the Union of States has at their disposal the best Constitution in the world.
Well, in regards to the prisoners, it's kind of like school, right? Students got to show up. People get paid. Teachers get paid. The school gets paid. The principal gets paid based on your attendance. Same thing with prisoners. You got to have X amount of prisoners to be qualified for X amount of tax dollars to run your facility. That's the way it works. So Missouri.
Are you really listening to what you're saying? We got to have enough prisoners.
Well, think about what Missouri said. Hey, we don't have enough prisoners. We're going to shut it down. That's what you want, right? If there ain't no criminals, you don't need prisoners, right? So there ain't no criminals in Missouri. Well, of course, shut it down. That's good. That's the right thing to do. If you didn't do anything wrong and there ain't no bad people, no criminals in your area, you don't need jail. Shut them down. All they're saying is, hey, look, you're overflowing over there. We could take them, but we're shutting it down. That's all they did. It's not what you think about saying, hey, let's plant some drugs on this guy and make him into a criminal so we got someone to put in my system here, right?
Are you saying that doesn't happen?
I'm not saying it don't happen, I'm not saying it does happen. But you're making it seem like all the population, everybody was framed in the jail system, right? Everybody was framed. Nobody did it, right? Is that what you're saying?
What percentage of the people that are in those prisons committed a crime against another person? Rape, robbery, murder. What percentage?
I don't have those. I'm not going to speak on those
it's
stats
because
I don't know them exactly. I don't
the
know them,
percentage
and
is
I
low.
ain't going to. Well, I don't know it, so I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about stuff I don't know, but I can tell you this much. There are bad people out there. There are pedophiles out there. There are rapists out there. There are drug dealers out there, and they going to get locked up. Now, you won't live in New York. You say you're a Yankee. That means, are you in New York?
No, I'm
Boston?
in Michigan.
Where you at?
Michigan.
You're Michigan. That's right. You did say, okay. Well, the way I see it, all these people that didn't do anything, don't put them in jail. Send them to Michigan. How about that? Send them
Are they
on
real
to
criminals?
good people. They don't belong in jail. I know they don't belong in jail for your logic. Put them in Michigan. Put them in your town. How many of these people care?
Why would you put them there? Why would you put them there if they haven't committed a crime? Why would you put them there?
Because you want them there.
I want free people here that can make their own decisions.
Right. Is someone that's a pedophile, is that bad? Are they good or bad people?
That's a crime. You mean you mean thought? You mean they think their thoughts, or they've actually committed?
Someone that actually commit, whether you
that's a crime.
Do pedophilia, that should be a crime regardless, man. If you're looking at child pornography, I'm sorry, man. You're going to get locked up, and you need to be locked up.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. That's a crime.
Okay. So you mentioned what type of crime have people committed against another person and so on and so on. Well, I thought you were going to the sense of saying, hey, they just looked at child pornography. They didn't do anything wrong. I thought that's where you were going with that, which ain't right. Well, not in my opinion. Not in my country.
No. Yeah, no, I agree with you. What we have to really look at is what percentage of the people that are occupying these profit-making prisons started their life of crime because some cop beat down their door because they were smoking a joint. And that got them into the system, and they were never able to get it back out. The next thing you know, 5, 6, 8 years later, they're robbing a bank or something. What percentage of them, if they were just left alone to live freely as they wanted to live, would have stayed out of those prisons? That's the question you have to ask yourself. I don't have those numbers.
Right.
That's the question you have to ask
all
yourself.
Right. Let me ask you this, all right? Have you ever smoked marijuana?
Me?
Yes, sir.
You asking me?
Yes, sir.
I certainly did.
Okay.
It's my right to.
Why'd you stop doing it?
Because I got a wife that won't let me smoke it no more. I don't know. I grew out of it. I was done with it.
Okay, you grew out of it. right? Okay, you know it's bad. You know, you keep doing it. Heck, you might not get married. You might get arrested. People might, you know.
But
it's gonna
take
end
the
you up
arrested
jail,
out of that.
so you
Take the
stop.
arrested out of that statement. Take the arrested out of that statement. I should not have had the fear of being incarcerated, kidnapped, and caged because I wanted to smoke a plant. No way. But your statement is fine until you said get arrested. It was my personal choice to stop.
Look, it's illegal. It's legal. Can't do it, right? It's like
No,
me
not in
saying,
a free country. Then stop singing about liberty for all. Stop singing about pledging to liberty to all and singing about the land of the free, because that's not what you're describing.
Heck, I like shooting up heroin, right? Let me shoot up
Go
heroin.
for it.
Who cares if it's legal and where it came from and who died to get it over here, right? And who I'm going to hurt to get the heroin, right? Let's make heroin legal. What do you think about that?
I think that each community should determine themselves, and then if they give the state the power to say not in our state, and then if enough states say to the U.S. Congress not in the union, then it's illegal.
I think I can move enough heroin addicts to Michigan, make it legal in Michigan. What do you think about that?
They're probably some free people, free thinkers. Most of these big problems have been caused by the government. Most of these big problems have been caused by the government. Do I want people to be doing the harder drugs? No. Do I have the right to go over to my neighbor and stop him? No. If I don't have the right, three of our other neighbors don't have the right. If three of us don't have right, unless society says no, and I don't feel society today would ever want heroin legal. But I'm pretty positive society as a whole says, government, you got no business with marijuana.
Look, we can agree to disagree.
Yes,
right?
we can.
Yes,
we can.
Like I said, and you might not like it, but he's your president because you live in the United States of America. You might live in Michigan, but it's part of the United States, okay? I live in Alabama.
Are you making
let
that?
Me finish, please.
Let me say something real quick, and I'll let you continue. Are you making that statement? Are you making that statement with newfound knowledge, and you still make that statement?
I'm making that statement like you said. You think people nowadays, everyone would want slavery? You think people would want slavery right now, even though the Constitution says it's still legal? All right.
No.
Well, the people of today, in today's society, I guarantee you they love America. Whether they say they hate it, I guarantee you they love it because not they'd be going to Canada, Mexico, South America, where you name it, they'd be leaving, right?
I love America.
Right?
I just want people to proceed in the future with the truth, and I want people to be liberated and free to make their decisions on how they live. I don't want laws being created, one size fit all, created from 2,000 miles away by people that I don't see. If there's going to be a law controlling me in my community, I want to see the people when I go to the grocery store or to the post office. I want to see the people making those laws. And if they can look me in the face and say I need to be controlled in any of the areas, then that's the right way to be. But when more people say we want something made lawful, legal, then I want to see it out of the hands of the government. I don't think there's any sane person out there that wants heroin sold on the street corner. But I don't think the super majority of the people of the states want people incarcerated for marijuana. It's not legal just because the state can now tax it. Driving's not legal. If it was legal, we wouldn't need registration.
Per your logic, slavery's legal, sir.
Like I said, the 13th Amendment was ratified And since then, even though they were some of the states said, okay, we'll just do it because you're going to come into our state again and create another war, even though that's when it was ratified, the states have not got together and repealed that amendment. So for that reason, slavery is illegal, unlawful within the states, and it's probably going to stay that way because people don't want it lawful.
You talked about the free American, and I wish Clay Douglas was on here right now. He'd go deeper into what I'm talking about, right? He's a proud Texan, right? Proud Texan, and hell, he's got the Confederate flag in his room as well, right? Now, I'm not as political as he is, but I make a good point. And he can go to into detail a little bit more than I can. I wish you would called in today.
Are you talking about slavery still, though?
No, Clay Douglas. I'm not talking. I'm talking about we're one nation under God. That's what you don't like. You don't like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. You don't like to stand for the national anthem, from what I can tell, because it's a federal thing. You don't like that. You like to be individual. To you
in
are
any
from
of
the
your
country of Michigan, right?
In any of your speech, do you ever use the term the founders and the framers? The Constitution by the founders? The Constitution of the founders and the framers. Do you ever use that in your speech about any of the things you talk about?
I don't have to say it. It's like me saying, hey, we know who wrote it. You know who they wrote it for, right?
But how often do you hear people talking about the founders were so genius and the framers, and they wrote this great document, the Constitution? That's not what we're operating under right now. So if you can say all your speech and repeat everything you just said and never refer back to the founders and framers, more power to you.
Here's the thing, right? I'm an American. I live in Alabama, okay? My education is yay much, all right? You're the one with the constitutional show, right? You have not been able to successfully refute what I've just mentioned, okay? Not logically, and this may remember my history from high school and stuff I read on the news and watch the news, right? But I guarantee you, if I sat down, opened up my 11th grade world history or U.S. history, book, I'd be able to make even a better statement than I've already made. Can I get an amen?
Do those books that you're talking about, you're reading, do they mention the annulment of 10 states? Do they mention the Reconstruction Act?
Wait. Before I go on, can I get an amen?
I didn't really quite follow your last statement. I mean, if you want me to say amen, I'll say amen. You don't believe in God?
Wait. You don't believe in God, sir?
That has nothing to do with this show. I'm not going to go there.
One nation under God. God is in the Constitution. If you believe in the Constitution, God's mentioned in there a couple of times, is he not?
You tell me which clauses. You tell me which clauses.
Hey, I'm driving right, pull over right now and pull up the Constitution on the website or Google. I don't carry the Constitution in my back pocket. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty. I think maybe in Article 7 they might basically say something. It's not coming to me if it's in there.
I'm sorry, I had some messages coming in, and some reason I muted your voice. I'm sorry.
Well, I wasn't talking straight into the. I'm trying to rack my brain. I do not have every word in the Constitution memorized, and I don't know that it's mentioned. That pledge of allegiance has nothing to do with the founding documents. That Pledge of Allegiance was created somewhere in the late 1800s, and I believe it was. I might get this backwards. It might be something else, but I believe the pledge was created by a socialist, and I believe it was somebody that really promoted it. The 1890.
The Pledge of Allegiance was created by a socialist.
1890, Francis Bellamy. 1890, Francis Bellamy, which was after the 14th Amendment.
He was a pastor, he was a minister, and a slave trader wrote our national anthem and all that
my
good
moderator,
stuff. I get it, sir.
My moderator, who's well-versed, that's who you talked to last night. He just typed me a message, said socialist. And I trust his research ability. That was after the 14th Amendment.
Y'all got anybody else to the line? Is Clay on?
No, in fact, that's the only reason I've
tag team me. I want help. I'm driving.
That's the only reason that I've stayed on with you this long. No one else has called in, but we're not going to get a group talk here like you guys had last night. You're talking to me. 1890,
Why not?
Francis
Paul
Bellamy.
handled it just fine.
Because we're not. If he wants to come on and talk to me, that's fine. But we're not going to have a group discussion like we did last night. Last night wasn't a real show. And the words originally were pledged to my flag.
I'm at your show.
Okay. And we're talking. And I've let you go this long because no one else is calling in, and I have no problem with that. You're an interesting person to talk to.
I understand. I mean, can I say something about Paul? I think he's a good man, a smart man. I had a great time talking to him. I think he knows the stuff.
Oh, he does. I've learned much from him. He's learned much from me. We've known each other several years. We've spent some time together.
Is he ever going to be like a co-host?
Basically, I think you were the one last night that was familiar with Blog Talk. I'm only doing one show a week. There's 6 other 2-hour slots.
Clay. Clay's got his own show. He's got the Free American. You can look him up. He's got his own show. He knows what he's doing. He's got a big audience for that. Clay Douglas, Free American.
Well, we've got 7 slots a week, 2 hours a night. I'm only using 1 presently. If I get a big enough audience, I'll expand. Paul is absolutely, and Paul, you might want to take his phone number down, Juan's phone number down there off the screen. I'm not going to say it over the air because I don't think the listeners can see it. Paul, contact
Please do not
Juan.
give out my number on the air.
No, that's what I just said.
Please.
That's what I just said. But I'm telling Paul to write down your phone number. He has the opportunity anytime he wants to take one of those time slots and make his own show. He can go ahead and do it. He's had my permission. Why he hasn't already, I don't know. If he does, he'll call you and make sure you know how to find him.
Well,
okay with you?
That's fine. And also, there's if y'all need help filling in those slots, I'm part of Pastor Kent's block. Pastor Kent's flock, and I could probably fill it in with maybe some religious shows, blog talk. If you all need it, I talk to 2
pastors. I'll
Pastor
tell you what.
Kent.
That's something to talk over with Paul. Paul and I. There's a couple other people, but we're the only ones that have the password to get on and create an episode, create a show. When I'm sure Paul's going to contact you now after hearing you. If he wants to put a show together with you as the host in one of those time slots, up until the point that if I get I'm the one funding this, that if I get a real audience, and Paul says there are people listening. I couldn't get up my chat so I could see the people. He says there are people listening. He can see them on the chat screen. If I build enough audience,
today.
Okay, but let me finish real quick. Okay, but let me finish.
I thought he was going to call in.
Okay, let me finish.
Clay's a good man.
Okay, if I get a bigger audience, I'm going to take more time slots. If we get a real audience, big audience, we're going to go to a different platform. In the meantime, the other time slots are open for Paul. If he wants to give you one, that's fine. But I'm telling him this at the same time I'm telling you. The only ones I'm going to leave, the only shows that I'm going to leave in archive, because we can't separate them, is this show, The Constitution Explained. So when you guys are done, I'm going to go in the next day and delete them. So actually, I'll let him know ahead of time that I'm going to delete them, because he can download them and save them, but they're not going to be in our archive. The only ones that are going to be in the archive is The Constitution Explained. And if the organization called America's Remedy, a great organization with John Zaneworth, if they do some shows, I'm going to leave their shows in the archive. But your guys, if you do some shows, will not be left in the archive. Okay?
Well, I agree, because it might not be your views, and you don't want that out there. I understand that. I'm just saying, why let that time go to waste? Hey, you paying for it, right?
You and Paul talk it over. You guys, Paul's in charge of that until I want another slot and I pick a night. Those other 6 nights are wide open. I'm going to be here every Wednesday night for 2 hours.
I can't believe Clay didn't call right now.
Well, maybe he's busy. Is he married?
He's got a girlfriend, or his manager, his lady friend, whatever. I'm not going to talk about his personal life, but that's what he's got.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Who knows why?
Well, her name's Candy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Paul says there's people listening. And Paul, is there anybody that's commented anything that I should respond to? Because I'm not getting that on my laptop. I thought last night I was seeing the chat, and tonight I'm not seeing chat. Is there anybody that's asked anything that I should respond to? I mean, I'll keep Juan on the whole show if there's nobody else.
Well, we could talk to Juan all night, but there are people listening in. Oh, somebody else just called back in. I'll go check that out. You start talking, Harry.
But you let me know if they want to talk to me, and Juan, are you on your phone listening to the show? Am I cutting you off when we're done, or just putting you on mute so you can still listen?
I like to be put on mute, but if I don't know who's going to call in, but if you don't mind, I'd like to every now and then be part of the conversation. If just
you call in. And the rule of the show
call
is,
back in?
Yes, I was just going to say, the rule of this show is going to be, like just then, you were the only one calling in, so we talk long. If there's a bunch of people in the queue, then we cut you short, keep you brief, we cut you off, and then you call back in and get put back in the queue. If you get back on, that's fine with me.
Okay. So, Harry, I just talked to the caller. He's listening. He doesn't have a question. He just wants to listen.
Okay, thanks. So I guess, Juan, we can still talk if we got more to talk about. It's probably not Clay.
Was it Clay? Oh, man.
No, I don't think it's Clay.
Well,
no, it wasn't Clay.
Okay.
Clay's a good man.
Well, anybody out there in the chat room, I don't know who's there, friends, enemies, never heard of us before, please pick up the phone and call in if you want to talk. You can call in and say hi if that's all you're going to do. But again, Paul, I don't think you ever answered me. Did anybody in the chat room ask a question, ask something that I should deal with? Nope. Answer.
Okay. No, I've got 2 people in the chat room, and they're just listening.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
We got a guest, and we got somebody named Mad Mark.
Mad Mark. I don't know if I want to talk to a Mark that's mad.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Okay.
Can I stay on the air with you for a few seconds here?
Yeah. So the caller you have on mute right now doesn't want to talk. It just wants to listen.
Yeah, just listening in.
Take over until someone calls in. Go ahead. I'm talked out for a minute. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight's show is not following a procedure of it's more of a call-in show, and Harry has written and is authored a wonderful treatise on what the Constitution actually says, and many people before that. And right now, I don't think that people understand, because they haven't done the research like Harry's done, like I've done, to go back and find some of these previous works of art on the Constitution. There's Chauncey, there's Bernard Sage, Republic of Republics. There's Chauncey Bauer, the Notes on the Constitution. You know, these are all 1800.
Paul.
Yeah.
When you're done, remind me to explain Republic of Republics when you're done.
Okay, that's fine. Well, we'll post that in the link to that people can download, because it's a free book in our FB group.
It'll only take me about a minute. People understand that to get people to understand that we were a republic of republics. A republic, you know, people want to say that we're a republic, not a democracy. That has nothing. They don't have anything to do with each other. A republic is basically a piece of land with a border, occupied by people, with a constitution. A constitution denotes a republic. We were a republic of republics because each of our states were to be republican form of government with a constitution controlling their government. Then those governments signed a constitution which was between them and the Congress assembled. So the states were a republic in relationship to the United States. So the United States was a republic of republics. Go ahead, Paul. Well, Paul, I see you muted yourself. Okay.
Well, because you were talking, so I didn't want to make noise. But yes, there are some wonderful works of literature out there. It's not fiction. It's the truth. People today, we believe what we were told. We believe through the system of indoctrination and through the system of conformity and the system of that person did it, so I have to do that as well. When are people going to start thinking for themselves and saying, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this? That's where I got my awakening, is when in 2008 I saw a man running for president, but there was overwhelming documentation. And I'm not talking about what I saw on the internet. I did my own due diligence and my own research to say there's something wrong with this scenario. And that was President Barack Obama. Because the things didn't add up, and the things I was finding didn't match the things the media was telling me. So turn off the damn TV, turn off Facebook. Well, go to the certain Facebook pages. Quit doing selfies and, learn. That's where I went down the road to finding numerous things that didn't make sense. That's where I started to learn how to go research the Library of Congress all the way back to the original documents of 1789, the Constitution. I've read through the congressional journals at specific points in time when things changed. I understand what the Declaration of Independence means now. And I understand the second clause of the Declaration of Independence, when it says that when a government usurps its authority, it is the right of the people to abolish or alter that form. No, we're not going to do that. We're just going to, just like yesterday. Well, we're going to go vote for more change. I mean, come on, people. Voting does not work. What we need to be doing is learning what the laws are, all right, we've got Constitution, and then we've got rules, codes, regulations, statutes, and all this other stuff. We need to be focused on what is the common law that the Constitution was originally written under. Just because what we see today doesn't mean it's constitutional. What we're doing is we're doing the status quo. Oh yeah, we got criminals, we got this, we got that, we got that. So you're looking at the federal government, and just like Harry said, I don't want to call it a federal government. It's a national government because we allowed them to make it a national one. Go read the Federalist Paper, number 39, by John Adams. The federal government is national in nature to handle what the states' interests are in national affairs and international affairs. Other than that, the federal government does not have authority to regulate in the states. But, keep going and voting for more, just like yesterday, because you're voting for more federal taxes and you're voting for more of this and voting for more of that. We are not a constitutional-based system. And Juan, I'm sorry to say, you keep spouting the word America. America is not a country. America is a landmass. The United States is those members of the states that we sent to Washington, D.C. That's the United States. The United States of America is the geographic location of the Union of States. And I'm not trying to be bravos or condescending on this, but we've actually got to re-educate our minds so that we can see where our conceptions and our misconceptions are.
Cardinal Willie, did you have a question? You know why I wasn't finding the chat? There's a commercial that comes on, an advertisement that comes on. I closed it earlier. I need to let the advertisement go through. I now have the chat in front of my face. Cardinal, if you got a question, go ahead and ask it there. I'll read it off and I'll try to answer it. Keep in mind that everybody, I should read the question, I suppose, so everybody hears the question. What do you mean by nested republics? Keep in mind, a lot of people make the statement, we are a republic, not a democracy. A republic can be anything. China was a republic, but they were communist. A republic can be a democracy. A republic generally, I should say always, requires a constitution. And if the constitution is based on a democracy, well, then you have a democratic republic. If it's communism, it's a communist republic. Article 4, Section 4 says we are to be Republican form of government. The biggest difference between a democracy and Republican democratic form of government and a Republican form of government is in a democratic form of government, the people are under the jurisdiction of a central government. One size fits all laws. A Republican form of government is just the opposite. The government is under the jurisdiction of the people. That's the way we're supposed to be in the United States. The United States, as originally constructed, was just the entity. The Articles of Confederation said that the style of the government that was created by the Articles of Confederation was called the United States. the United States was purely the Congress when they assembled. They were given the Constitution ratified in 1789 was the Constitution for that entity. That was what was supposed to control them. They were supposed to operate. We were supposed to keep them inside the parameters of that document. That made the states in relationship to the United States a republic. And then the states were each to have their own, and they do, constitution, making each one of them a republic. That's where the book called, Paul, you typed it out for me. I don't see it. I think it's up at the top. Whoever wrote the Republic of Republics, that's what he was talking about. Originally, we were a republic of individual republics. Paul, who wrote that? You typed it in here earlier, didn't you? I don't see it. You don't remember? You're usually the one to ask. It comes right up with it.
No, I was busy trying to copy and paste the link to the book on Google.
Oh, okay, but you don't remember who wrote it. Okay, that's fine.
No, Bernard Sage.
All right, somebody's asking some more stuff here. Let me...
Okay, now, Harry, I do need to correct you.
Go ahead.
I need to correct you. You mentioned Articles of Confederation, AOC.
You're breaking up. One of us is breaking up, either my microphone or your either my headphone or your microphone.
Well, I can hear you fine.
Okay, try again.
All right. You misquoted Article 1 of the AOC.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. The style of this union or this confederacy shall be called the United States of America.
Okay, so I was close, but you're all right. And that's important to say it right. I don't have it memorized. But
the United States of America, the 13 Union States, after the Declaration of Independence, the first Constitution, was and still is a confederacy because article or the preamble of the Constitution declares in it that we are making a more perfect union.
Right. To promote, not delegate, not rob and give, to promote the general welfare of the states. Let me go through these chats and see if we got another question here. Yeah, now Cardinal, you might know more about Rhode Island than I do, because Cardinal's saying Rhode Island is not a republic. Does Rhode Island have a constitution?
Better.
Cardinal, do you know? Trying to follow this dialogue on the... And Bogart, Paul actually knows the Federalist Papers and the Is it Anti-Federalist? Why doesn't that sound right?
No, the Anti-Federalists were those that were concerned about what the Constitution was actually doing.
So they didn't actually write Anti-Federalist Papers. There's just the Federalist Papers.
No, there's Anti-Federalists.
Okay. Yeah, Paul is much more versed in that, and maybe that's something, if he gets a show started, that's something he needs to discuss more.
Well, can I comment on that?
You can, as long as you mute your microphone next time you hack your lungs out.
Oh, well, sorry, I turned away, but you sent me this microphone. I'm still learning it.
The button on the top hits it.
Here's the misnomer that happened back in 1787 to 1789 when the Constitution was presented at a convention, is that in order to make it more appealing, those that wanted a national government started writing newspaper articles or editorials. And those that were in favor of the Constitution called themselves Federalists, even though the Constitution was written with national intent. Those that thought that there was something suspicious about the Constitution before ratification, such as Samuel Adams, when he said, "I smell a rat," call themselves the Anti-Federalists. So those that were trying to pull the wool over people's eyes were calling themselves Federalists. So when you read the Federalist Papers, look at it with a discerning eye, because words have meanings, and as long as you put the words in a proper sentence and make it sound good, it may not be good. But the Anti-Federalist Papers were decrying that there's something funny going on here. So was the Constitution perfect at the beginning? Maybe, or maybe not. But this is how we learn why we are here today, because from the onset, the framers of that Constitution, I mean, go read Foran's or Eliot's notes on the Constitution, where they took the notes of the members of that convention and see their edits and see their perceptions, because you're getting it from 3-4 different sides from each of the people that were there. You know, anybody can pick up a Constitution and read it, but go read what the perceptions of the people that were sitting in that chamber were to understand their mindset. I mean, everybody likes Star Wars, but then everybody likes Star Wars, the director's cut, because then the director can tell you what he was thinking. Well, do the same thing with the Constitution. You can't in today's world, given all the onslaught of media hype and indoctrination and this and that, and flag waving and blah blah blah, you can't go that way because it makes you feel good. You got to know the ruts of the whole system. I mean, in the Republics that I posted in there in the chat room, and I hope you people actually download. It's a long read, and I ask all of you to take it a little bit at a time. But it was written in the 1880s, after the Civil War. But in the book, there was he quotes a Frenchman, and right now I'm trying to recall his name. It'll come to me here shortly. But he says on his tour through the different towns throughout the United States is that there were two things on everybody's shelf, side by side. It was the Bible and it was the Constitution. Because the two probably may have gone hand in hand. I'm not going to say that. I don't know what Bible it may have been, but still, people had on their shelves the Constitution so that they understood what the words meant. So they had solace. They are not out in the streets running around without a Constitution going, my rights, my this, my that. Because the people had all the rights at that time. They didn't have a government telling them that they don't have rights. And the federal Constitution is exactly what it says. It's federal. You people in your individual states are not federal unless you sign up to be a federal citizen, protected by the federal government, because you've abdicated your state citizenship. Kitchen versus Steele, 1953 court case. A citizen of the United States is a citizen of federal government, period. And that's your democracy, because Congress operates in a 51 majority rule democracy. So when you go around saying my democracy, and you hear your politicians saying my democracy, there's your democracy, because you're a citizen of Congress. And they get to rule and legislate on your well-being. So, by that said, because you ticked the box and said, yes, I'm a U.S. citizen, there's your 13th Amendment. Sure, there will be no slavery without involuntary servitude, but it doesn't say that there cannot be slavery with voluntary servitude. So by checking the box, I'm a U.S. citizen because I don't want to be a citizen of my state, You just voluntary servitude yourself to Congress. I'm going to let you take it over.
I'm sending you something to remember, I can't chat since I'm logged in on the one. I can't chat on my laptop. Okay. I'm sending you something to, hang on. I'm going to sending you something to copy off of Skype and paste into the chat so they can find our Facebook page.
Oh, okay. That's great. I'm done with my diatribe.
Yeah, and I'll look at chat to see if they're asking any more questions. If they're not, we might even call it 20 minutes early, but hang on. You can find our group on Facebook. Okay, if you copy that and paste that into the chat, I think they can find our Facebook page if they want to for the group, and they can join up. Okay, we got some other questions. What are your views of the Tea Party movement? Oh, Bogart, we got 27 minutes left. Is there any country that's a true democracy in your opinion? I don't know. Cardinal's saying Taiwan, and Paul that's our Facebook group. The Tea Party movement. That's about when I got started and being a little more woke up. Tea Party movement was initiated by people that realized something's wrong. They're not following the Constitution. And that was my dialogue back then. They're not following the Constitution. Well, it's not. The Constitution is not about the government of the United States following the Constitution. It's about the people enforcing the Constitution. And when the government starts giving things away, the people say, no, you can't take that from those people and give it to me. I don't want it. And that's where the problem is and always has been in almost every society. So the people, what was it, about 06, 07, 08, somewhere around there, 09, I don't remember exactly. We started joining up in groups, and I was traveling around to a lot of different groups and trying to get these groups to all join together, but each one had their own objectives, own ideas. But suddenly we were starting to be called the Tea Party. Well, we started growing some legs, and the next thing you know, we were having rallies. And at the rallies, they were calling it the taxed enough already. And right away, I was like, well, that's not what we started with. That wasn't what we were going for, but everybody's calling it, we'll let it be the taxed enough already. So we started having more and more groups and meetings. And at the beginning of the meetings, at the beginning when the meetings were getting together, not the beginnings of when the meeting started organizing, the speech was pretty much online with what we'd been thinking and what we thought and what we wanted to get. We wanted to get people to start controlling government more rather than controlling us. So the meetings went on like that. Now, like I say, I was going through several different groups. And it seemed like in unison, all of a sudden, there were people coming to these groups and saying things like, oh, we can't reinvent the wheel. We got to work from the inside. And I'm sitting in the back going, well, this doesn't sound quite right. But, let's keep the groups going. People are learning things. Well, the next thing you know, and this is, months from the beginning, it's a lady at the one group I was at. And she's up front telling people how to become Republican delegates in their neighborhood. And I'm thinking, well, this isn't the Republican Party. This is the Tea Party. And she's up there, and by now the group was pretty big, a lot of newer people. And she's up in the podium, and she goes, and I just want to say that President Bush was the best president this country's ever had. And the whole crowd just broke out in applause. And I'm sitting in the back of that group, and I'm saying, the Tea Party is over. And it wasn't a week or two later, Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck were both calling it the Republican Tea Party. So hopefully that answers your question now when you ask me what are your views of the Tea Party movement. And you can ask another question, Rick. Paul?
Yeah, I was asking if I could jump back in.
And Bogart, you're welcome for that. Bogart said thanks. Go ahead. You got 23 minutes.
So right now is that in the last, 10, 15 years, things have been taking a turn with the perception of what the United States of America is and people's concepts. And every 5 minutes or every other day, Facebook pages or the news media or Twitter or this, people glom on to something that sounds and feels good. Because it's easier to do that than actually go and do your own due diligence and research.
Well, it looks like he put you on. This is Tony?
Yep, Harry, this is Tony from San Diego.
Hi, yeah.
San Diego.
Yeah,
hey Tony,
yeah.
what's up?
No, nothing. I was just calling because I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about what happened with Jeff Sessions and how he got off, how Jeff Sessions no longer is a thing, because when he did, he resigned, and because Trump and the inauguration is potentially harmful for I just wanted your thought on that.
Well, my thought is I don't pay attention to any of it. This show is about the Constitution explained as originally founded, framed, originally ratified in 1789, and how we've gotten away from it completely, and how due to the 14th Amendment, which was not ratified, it was implemented under military rule. This show is about trying to explain to people that the governments in place right now are not constitutional. They are not the constitutional lawful entities which the Constitution established. Tony, I'd like to talk to you more, but I mean, you were just kind of mumbling off things off the 14th Amendment. And I mean, I want to talk about the first two words, the first two lines, under the jurisdiction thereof. The people of the states were not under the jurisdiction of the Constitution as ratified. In fact, one big mistake people make is the Bill of Rights does not apply to the people. The Bill of Rights applied to the states. The federal government was restricted from having the powers of creating legislation which infringed the states from controlling those rights. And it was up to the people of each state to control the rights within their state. And under Republican form of government, there wasn't a lot of control allowed. And I'm going to grab Jim Bob. Tony, if you're still there when I'm done with Jim Bob, I'll come back and talk to you some more, but I just didn't like the way you were going.
Hey, pal.
Jim?
Greetings.
Hey, this is Harry.
Question. This Constitution, is this a living document, a living, breathing document, or does it have a static disposition, dynamic disposition? Go ahead.
We're taught that it's a living document because we're taught by the schools that document applied to the people. It didn't. Was it a living document? Yes. The states in supermajority were to give or take away powers from the entity named the United States, which was the Congress and Assembly. So you could call it a living document because the states had the power to do that, but that's not what they do anymore. The states don't even know they're in control. And if they do know, they're taking money that's been robbed from the people back into their coffers, so they'd rather not go back to the original. That's our problem. The states are too addicted to the money coming back to them from the federal government to take the reins back and say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't what the Constitution says. So, yeah, it's a living document, but it's a living document controlled by the states, and the states are not taking control. They're allowing the national government now under the 14th Amendment to control the states rather than the other way around.
Amen, brother. How do the states get control of this Constitution? What do we need to do?
We have to. You got a pencil and paper, or Paul? You want to? You don't. You're not on the
paper.
AmericasRemedy.com. Go watch John Ainsworth's videos. We need to reestablish the state citizenship. The state citizens
Give me
still.
That. Give
America's.
Me that website again. Free American.
No, just
plural.
America's, plural.
Okay.
Remedy.com. State citizens still have the power. The problem is there's only the ones that have learned this and have reestablished themselves as state citizens is few. We're trying to reestablish the states with state citizens. It's going to take a lot of work, and people are going to have to give up a lot. But if they want to return the Union of States back to sanity, it's what they're going to have to do.
Okay, man. I'm just disappointed. I think this Constitution is just a dead document sitting in the National Archives, resting in peace.
Right now it is. We need to give it a shot of adrenaline.
Harry, can I jump in?
You sure can.
Thank you. I just posted one of America's Revenue's best videos in the chat room.
But I don't know, Tony or Jim, were you seeing the chat room? Well,
no, he just fell off.
Jim is gone. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, he might still be listening. He called it. Anyway, all this stuff, since we are a newly established radio show, and we're trying to get something going here. And I don't want to say it's a movement because that's incorrect. It's just
I don't know if the Clay that just came on the chat is the same Clay you talked to last night, but there's a Clay on there. And Clay, you just joined, and we've got 11 minutes and 28 seconds, and I'm out of here. I'm going to bed early tonight.
Okay, but what I want to say is that everything we talk about tonight, I will make sure that it's all posted on our Facebook website page.
And you got that on the chat line right now so people can see it, right?
I've got the original notification.
But did you get our Facebook page up on the chat line?
No, not yet. That's why I said
you
do.
Get that. Yes, you do. It's in there. Right now, if anybody wants to find us on Facebook, there you scroll up a little bit, you'll see our link to our Facebook group. As far as I know, I've set that up as public, and you can join without an invitation. But anyways, Clay, what do you mean by some background? Background to us or what we're talking about? Us? You said yes. You mean you want us? How you guys came to be? Well,
study, research.
We only got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I started just by listening to people talk about the government not following the Constitution. And Clay, this is going to be archived. We're new at this. I don't even know the proper way to tell you to find the recording, the archive of this. I'm pretty sure you just go to Blog Talk and look up our show, and it'll be there, and you can listen to the whole thing if you want. I explained how I got into the Tea Party in about 08, 09, somewhere in there. I explained that. But I basically, no, we're not parties. We're constitutionalists. We're not Republican or Democrat. We're not choosing one wing or the other of the same bird.
Taxes are unconstitutional.
Taxes upon the individual are unconstitutional. The Constitution says the taxes shall be apportioned to the states according to population, and then the states, the people of the states, through their Constitution, give the state the powers to collect those monies to pay the bill to the U.S. government. But I'm not going to give you my life story, huh?
Trying to rattle your chain.
I think so.
Well, I'm going to go with cowboy since I live near Dallas.
But I started noticing when people more and more were saying, why aren't they following the Constitution? So I started reading the Constitution. I said, wait a minute, the Constitution doesn't give these powers to the Congress. And then I started looking around the Civil War, and I noticed the acts of Congress before the Civil War and after. And that's when I started zeroing in on the 14th Amendment, started learning piece here and a piece there. And then just things started becoming clear in my mind. It was like, wow, how did we manage? How did the people of the states allow this to happen?
Yeah, and the 14th Amendment is the key ingredient that people, they take for granted, but they don't understand what it actually says.
Yeah.
And Harry, God bless his soul, he took a weekend off and actually flew down to Texas to come to a conference that we were hosting here with John Ainsworth, which is posted above on that link for America's Remedies original nullification video. And this is why we're doing what we're doing now, is that John Ainsworth was one man trying to put out a message, and he's got his state starting to realign. We here in Texas are trying to realign our state. Okay, we're not the Texas Republic. We're not, for secession. We're not. No, we just want to take control back of our state. Away.
And I want to answer Clay's question. And Clay, I absolutely have to love that last name. I'm pretty sure it's just made up his mind is on Facebook. Actually, I would love Trump to make an executive order that nullified Amendment 14, Section 1. Because not only does that get away with the anchor babies, that ends all executive orders. Because the only reason that executive orders apply to the people of the states is because we are under the jurisdiction of Washington. And that part of Section 1. So if he wants to nullify the whole section of Amendment 4, I'm all for it. Go for it. But just to go in piece and part, it's not going to do any good for us. It's not going to change anything.
Basically, with no offense, and we're not condoning slavery, is that Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation was a military executive order.
As far as the Constitution, like I said, we started noticing things going wrong. And that's how me and Paul found each other, was through Facebook, through people we knew, where we were learning things we weren't taught in school. And then we just started looking at old documents and putting pieces of things together. And then once we found the 14th Amendment was the basis, then we found other people. And then from there, it's just been a learning experience, just a waterfall of learning experience ever since. And we're down to 4 minutes, guys. By the way, I'm out of here right at 10. I'm going to bed early tonight. Well, it's 10 o'clock Eastern time. I don't know where everybody else is from. Now, is that last question for eternity, Clay, or just for tonight? No, I'm just kidding, because I enjoy you. All right, I want to think. I'll tell you what. I'm going to say one thing, and then I'm going to hand it over to you. We're down to less than 2 minutes. We're going to start getting these warnings in our ear, 90 seconds and stuff. I want to thank everybody for coming to the show. I'll be here 8 to Wednesday, 8 p.m. till 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. Come on back and talk. And yeah, I know, Clay, we missed it. I mean, we missed blocking him out. Paul, you got 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's as far as I know, but I know that you can stay a little longer. If you're doing a show, tell these people what you're doing the show. When, what night?
No, I'm working on some.
Do you know what you're going to call? Do you know what you're going to call your show so that they can maybe keep searching and find you once you're on? What are you going to call your show?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I'm going to do a show with Sean. And
we'll try to have that answer next week when we're on. So if anybody wants to find you, they know how to find you.
Well, they can find me on your Facebook page or our group page.
That's true. Yeah. Okay.
My name is Paul Thompson. I got a Don Adams Hitchhiker's Guide smiley face. And if you guys don't know what that is, then you're still swimming with the dolphins and you don't have a towel. So.
I don't even want to know what that means. All right, we're out of here. I'm out of here in 30 seconds.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure everything shuts down in 30 seconds.
We're going to keep the phone lines open. We're going to keep the phone lines open after the recording stops. So if you want to call in,
I'm shutting down my computer, so I think that cuts you off. And that only going to keep somebody on that was on before the show ended. I'm pretty sure. So I'm pretty sure we're done. But here in 10 seconds, I'm logging off and shutting my computer down. We'll talk to everybody next week. Thanks a lot for tuning in.
Okay, and thank you for your time, Harry.
Wednesday, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. Paul, you still there?
Sir. Yep.
Type into chat. Next Wednesdays, 8 to 10 p.m. EST. Because Clay just asked, when's your next show?
Yeah.
To see if that's still running.
Yeah, well, I still got chat going.
That's what I mean. See if that still works. Click it in there. I'll see if it comes up.
Okay, hold on.
Before Clay leaves. I need to set up an alternate name. Yeah, cool. Thanks. I need to set up an alternate name so I can type in chat too if I need to. All right, Paul.
Yeah.
Good night. Talk to you.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay. Shut your computer off. I'm keeping the platform open on my end.
I'm setting it off. If you're still there and you can talk to people, all the more power to you. But I'm out of here. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. And thanks, guys, for joining us. We're going to make this thing happen. We're going to start doing some educational series.
Want to go hiking this weekend?
Can we play catch, Dad? Can we go for a bike ride? Dad?
Moving is better when it's done together. If pain is preventing you from staying active with the people you love, contact the orthopedic team at Mercy Health today. Each year, our friendly physicians care for pro and more everyday athletes all across Ohio and Kentucky. Mercy Health, healthcare for the universe of you. To find a sports medicine or orthopedic doctor near you, visit mercy.com/ortho.